Before we begin, let me say this. The opinions I'm sharing today are my own and are based on publicly available information, congressional testimony, media reporting, and publicly reported documents. My purpose is not to accuse anyone of criminal conduct or make factual determinations that belong to the courts or Congress. Instead, I want us to think critically about leadership, accountability, public trust, and what happens when new information causes people to revisit the past. Now, it's about what happens when people entrust leaders with extraordinary influence during extraordinary times. Many Americans remember that the guidance changed as scientists learned more about the virus. Some people viewed those changes as evidence that the science was evolving. Others saw them as inconsistencies that raised questions about the decision-making process. Those differences in perspective still shape how people look back on the pandemic today. Another point of public debate has been the origin of COVID-19. For years, many people heard public statements emphasizing the possibility that the virus emerged naturally from a market. Later, discussions about the possibility of a laboratory origin received renewed attention as additional intelligence reviews, scientific debate, and congressional inquiries continued. That shift has led many people to ask whether early public communication should have reflected more uncertainty instead of appearing more definitive. Whether you agree with those criticisms or not, transparency matters. One of the most discussed moments from the hearings involved Dr. Fauci's repeated invocation of his constitutional right against self-incrimination in response to numerous questions. It's important to remember that invoking the Fifth Amendment is a constitutional protection. By itself, it is not proof of guilt. People invoke it for many legal reasons. At the same time, many members of the public found it frustrating because they wanted direct answers from someone who had become one of the nation's most trusted public health voices. And that's where the bigger issue comes in: trust. During COVID, families were divided. Some people couldn't attend funerals. Some were separated from loved ones. Some lost jobs. Businesses closed. Churches closed. Friendships ended. Politics entered conversations that should have been about compassion. Whether someone supported the public health measures or opposed them, there is no denying that the pandemic left deep scars. When leaders ask people to make life-changing decisions, those leaders also inherit a responsibility to be as transparent as possible. That's true in government, that's true in business, that's true in ministry, and that's true in our own lives. As believers, we shouldn't be afraid of honest questions. Truth doesn't fear investigation. If the decisions made were sound, then careful review should strengthen confidence. If mistakes were made, then accountability and humility are part of rebuilding trust. One of the greatest dangers in our culture is believing that asking questions makes someone an enemy. It doesn't. Healthy societies ask questions. Healthy leaders answer them. Healthy citizens are willing to change their minds when credible evidence changes. My hope is that history continues to be examined carefully, fairly, and honestly. Not to score political points, but to learn lessons that can help us respond better the next time our nation faces a crisis. Because the goal shouldn't be to win an argument. The goal should be to pursue truth. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What lessons do you think we should take away from the pandemic and the hearings that followed? Let's keep the conversation respectful. I'm Dr. Kelley, and this has been another counseling session. Until next time, keep asking thoughtful questions, keep listening carefully, and never stop seeking the truth.